Hey everyone. Hey everybody. This is Aaron Cole from Motor Authority, and we're out here with the 2017 Honda Civic Si, and we're out driving this. We're going to take a walk around the car. We're going to answer all the questions that you may have. We're going to let the audience build just a little bit. Like I said, we're in Southern California. We're actually in the Mojave Desert right now, and we are driving the 2017 Honda Civic Si. So feel free to leave any questions that you may have, and I'll be sure to answer them as best that I can. Right now we can't actually talk about how it drives, but we can show you everything that you want to know about the car, including this bright green coupe. And we'll start there. Joe is asking, is it all-wheel drive? No, Joe, it's not all-wheel drive. Honda, obviously, they have some all-wheel drive running gear in the form of a GRC car, but it's not on the Civic Si. The Civic Si is front-wheel drive only, and we can talk a little bit about the powertrain and the specifics on this car. It's a 1.5 liter turbo. Anthony's asking, does it come with an engine? Yes, Anthony, it does have an engine. Let's talk about that engine. It's a 1.5 liter turbo, 4-cylinder. It makes 205 horsepower. That's up from the last gen, which was 201 horsepower. And it's roughly the same motor that's actually in the CR-V. A lot of the turbo sizes are the same, and we are even the final drive ratio, I believe, is the same, but I could be wrong on that. So the 225 horsepower obviously is from a turbo 1.5 liter that's shared with the Civic, and like I said, it's shared with the CR-V. It's front-wheel drive, and it's mated through a 6-speed manual transmission only, which, if you know us, if you know Motor Authority, you know how much we love manual transmissions, and this is actually a really good manual transmission. It's a shorter throw than the one that you're going to find on the EXT manual. It's related gearing, but the throw is specifically about 10% shorter, and it makes a difference. Anthony, you had a good question there, and I apologize. The comments are coming quickly. So, how much boost? 20 psi, and that's different. Oh, Anthony, you asked about VTEC, and you make an interesting point. You may have seen our preview video from the New York Auto Show, and this is the first Civic in a while that hasn't had VTEC, and I can't tell you what it's like to drive without VTEC, but I can tell you that it's definitely turbocharged, and you definitely notice it. What size turbo does it have? We'll open up the hood if we can. I know this car is open, and we can show you the size of the turbo. I don't know exact size or displacement, but like I said, it's a 1.5 liter engine. After the presentation.
You'll know all these things. They're asking you questions.
Oh, thank you. I'm being told by a Honda spokesman that I will know all the answers to this question after the presentation, which we'll have later on. Like I said, this is a bright green coupe. You can see one of the unique elements to the coupe is this giant wing that we saw in New York. According to Honda, it is functional, but we don't know exactly how functional it is. Anthony is asking what's the fuel range. It really depends on how you're driving, Anthony. We took these on a track drive and managed 11.8 miles per gallon, which is probably not standard. So it really depends on how you are driving, especially when it comes to turbocharging. Turbocharged cars. I know that you guys have probably seen a lot of stories about the Civic returning, the standard Civic returning some unbelievable fuel numbers. If you're going downhill with a tailwind, I think some people have reported even up to 60 miles per gallon. I don't imagine that you're going to get that consistently, but at least we know from earlier reports it might be possible. So let's take a look at this red one. Have you had a long drive yet? The seats feel, but I can show you the seats. They're actually deep and pretty comfortable buckets. Has some performance. Franco's asking, what does it pull away from? But by specific numbers, it's just north of $26,000 on price. Isaiah's saying 30. I want to say it's close to 26, 27. It's below the Touring, which I know it comes with this display knob. The volume knob is, I know that in our CR-V drop, has it the same, considerably cheaper, is close to 26,000. So I would say a F1 card Jordan 225 horsepower or 205. It's the difference between the coupe and the sedan. 4 doors, which is probably a little bit, which is a little bit shorter, and depending on your personal taste, we'll say a hand off the deck, whereas they both have kind of goes in and around. There's no forced exhaust noises, so everything that you're getting is completely natural. Both of them come with active dampers, as far as I can tell. Mini Cooper is 2 doors usually have an upgraded suspension. Other than or beyond the 4 doors, you're close to correct, Joe. The difference in the suspension, usually between 2 doors and 4 doors, comes down to weight. There's a lot of programming that goes into these suspensions, so even the difference of 50 pounds dictates how the car handles, and so the suspensions are typically just a little bit different, but it's almost imperceptible. It's almost to the point of not worth mentioning. And I will say that after driving 2 doors and 4 doors, maybe not specifically 2 doors and 4 doors, but just 2 doors and 4 doors just in general, I can say that even modern cars now, the difference in the suspension is almost completely imperceptible. It's maybe a little bit pronounced in a Challenger versus a Charger, which is almost nearly the same platform, but those 2 cars have almost completely different missions. And so Chrysler, for instance, changes those suspension settings pretty dramatically between 2 doors and 4 doors. I really appreciate you guys chiming in with any questions. If there are any questions that we can answer, we'll be sure to answer those in the comments when we can. Like I said, we can't talk about how it drives right now, but we will have a full story up on Motor Authority on Tuesday, early Tuesday morning. So if you guys will see a story on exactly how it drives and our first impressions of it. This is the 10th generation Civic Si, and it's actually, I believe, the 8th generation of Si, the Si wing. Honda doesn't like to say budget performance, but I think it is pretty close to budget performance. I think if you're someone like me who grew up the one that you could actually afford and actually buy, and I think it's the same story now. I think the Type R is incredibly expensive, and I don't think anybody has driven one yet, but the Si seems entirely approachable. It's a lot of car, I can tell you that. And that's just on first appearances. Let's go ahead and open up this green one, and let's take a look inside. Let's see if I can let's talk about this. And it's from other Civics, and you'll know that we're actually big fans of this 6-speed. It's a nice 6-speed. It's lower than the EXT manual, and it's not quite not. I can tell you that Honda's friendly with their clutches and having a nice smooth. Honda has been doing a good job with their manual transmissions for a while. It has the key in it.